Hello friends, so today we're going to discuss the top 3 questions from the latest LeetCode weekly contest 207. So the problems here are little bit implementation heavy, and also the questions are good but they are a little bit difficult also. So stay with me and I will let you understand all the 3 problems. So first problem name is rearrange spaces between words. So you are given a string text as you can see in this input example, and now there are some spaces between these words. Now you have to rearrange these spaces such that all the words are equally spaced, like what you can see. So rearrange the spaces so there is an equal space, like equal number of spaces between every pair of adjacent numbers, and the number is maximized. Okay, so the number of spaces between every two adjacent number is same and they are maximized. Like even if you can distribute all the spaces equally, then you have to place the rest of the spaces at the end, like place the extra spaces at the end. So what does this mean by this? As you can see in this first sentence, number of spaces in this is like this. As you can see, there is 2 spaces here, 3 spaces here, 2 spaces here, 1 space here. So the total number of spaces is 9, and there's like 1 more space at the end. And now how many words are there? Like 1 2 3 4. So if there are 4 words, how many spaces can be there between 2 adjacent words? So there are like 3 spaces. So if you divide 9 divided by 3 equal to 3 spaces. So what does this mean? That for every 2 consecutive pairs, like there should be 3 spaces between them. So 3 3 3 and so on. But now if there are, like, let's assume 10 spaces, so 10 divided by 3 is equal to 3, but there is 1 more space which is left. So you have to keep out the left of the spaces and the end. In this there is no left out space, but in this like in this example there is 1 left out space, so you have to put it in the end. And that's the whole question. So now what you can do in this question is, first make a vector and push down all the words in it and all the spaces in, and count out the total number of spaces. Now divide the total number of spaces as you can see in this first example only. Count the total number of words in this whole sentence, and then like divide the total number of words, the total number of spaces divided by total number of words minus 1. This will tell you total number of spaces which you have to insert between these words. So first output a word and then a space, then output a word and a space, output a word and a space, and so on. And then the remaining spaces you have to output in the end. And that's the whole trick for this question. So it's just, the code is just a little bit long, but the explanation or the how to interpret the code is very simple. So I'll tell you with the code example only. Take the input of the string, which is a vector of strings to store all the characters. This is the total length of the text. This will store the total number of spaces in that. This is some empty string. Now iterate over the whole text array or like text string. If you find out an empty string, what you'll do? You will increment your spaces, and at the same time, because you find out some empty space, you have to check that okay, till now is there some word. What does this mean? Let's assume that I have some word like Shiv space am. Then you iterate from left to right. You find out okay, I have some character inserted in some string like S H I V, and when you encounter a space, you means that okay, I have some space. Increment your space count, and because this space will mark that this word is completed. So if you have some character or some string in T, insert it in the new vectors of it, like vector of string, such that I will store that string. And then if that string is not empty, push that in the vector, which is this, and again make the T equal to empty. That's why we will start adding the new character, or else we just append the character. If it is not a space, append the character to this T. In the end, then it can also be a case such that the string is not empty, so append it in the final string. Then there is 2 cases. One, there is only one alphabet, like there is only one character. If there is only one character, you have no other choice. First take the first alphabet, like there is only one word, so take the first word and then all the spaces. So like you have some spaces because there is only one like word, so put that one word and spaces. Else if you have like multiple words, what you will do, you find out how many spaces you have to insert. How you can find out? It is just spaces divided by m minus minus. I have like subtracted 1 from it, and also find out how many extra spaces I have to add in the end. Then this is the final answer string. Like iterate over all the m alphabets, then what you'll like m words, and then what you'll do, you will check that okay, I have to first insert one like word, and then the spaces, then the word spaces, and in the end there is only one word, and after, when there is a last, when it is less than m, we have to insert a word space, but for the last we have to just insert a word, then we will form the complete word and the spaces, and then we have to append the empty or the extra spaces. So extra spaces is y, so then append the extra spaces at the end, and that's the answer. So that's the little bit long code, but this is the simplest explanation for the first code. Now second question is like you have to split the string into unique substrings, and how much maximum number of unique substrings you can split this given string. What this mean by this is, as you can see in this example, you can split it in this A, then B, then AB, then C, then CC. So as you can see, like total number of, because if you append all of these substrings again, it will form the original string. They are part of the string, and now you are actually cutting down the string to form these substrings, and these all are unique. So that's the whole question. You have to find out the maximum number of unique substrings you can split the original string into. Now you can first think that okay, we can just cut it in the simplest brute force way, like take out the first character and make a set. Take out the first character, if this string in the set, no, so insert it. If the next word is again A, I'll draw it out. The first word is A, B, like A. So you take out the first string A, insert it in some set which is like A. Then again, and now again you take out the character A, and you check that okay, A is in the string, so you cannot insert again only A. Extend the string, you can make it AB. Okay, AB is not in there, so put AB. So now you will check that okay, whether B is there, no, so insert B. Whether A is there, okay, is there. So the total number of string is 3. But actually what you can instead do here is, you can take this AB, like this A, and because AB is fixed, you can like do like this also, like AB. In this also there are 3 strings, but now like there can be some cases in which like you can take, I have some case, I don't know is there some case or not, but it can be like A, B, A, and then like C, or like B again. So what you can do, you can like put A, then you'll put B, then A and B you can combine it out. Okay, so that can be a case like this. That's the simplest thing you can think of in this question, but this is not actually always true, because there can be a case such that okay, I have done one wrong test case in this. Can I see my summations? I've used that in the first time, and like there's no summation on my output. So what you can do here is that this way is wrong. So the thing what you can do to start overthinking over the next possibility is, because the length is very small, you can do a recursive like DP form or like a DFS to like a backtracking approach. So what you can do, first take out a global set, and then what you'll do, insert this A, and then leave out this whole substring. So what we are doing actually here is, like there are 2 ways to solve this question. Because the length is very small, you can always try to do this in a brute force way. So let's assume that the string is A, B, B, C, D. So you can cut this string at this point, this point, this point, this point. What does this mean? It means that your string can be A, B, B, C, D. So you can like form like this, you can form like this. So like these are the possible strings you can cut into, and now you can check that okay, whether these are like all these strings are unique or not, like to how many total number of unique strings are there. So for every string of size n, how many places you can cut? N minus 1 places you can cut. So now because n is very small, like up to 16, and you have to do at most 15 cuts, you can do this in using some bit manipulation way, and like for every position you can set it as 0 or 1, and then check that okay, whether this position is 0 or 1, that you have to put a slash or cut at this point, and then like figure out how many different strings are there, put them in a set, and like you can check them out. That's one approach. Another approach that you can do here is you can use DFS or like backtracking. In general, first take out this string and then find out the number of unique string in this part. So like then like what you can do, extract out this string and then find out the number of unique string in this part, or you can subtract out like BB, then find a number of string in this part, subtract out like BBC and number of unique in this part, and so on. And then for every case you have to check out how many number of unique substrings are there. So that's the whole logic for the second question. Make a global unordered set and then make a DFS. Okay, if like length is 1, then the answer is 1 only, like there is only one character, so like you cannot split it, the answer is only 1, there is one unique case. Or else you will start a DFS on this string. What you'll do, if you're at the end of the string, like you have completed your backtracking, you just find out whether at this point what is the size of the unordered map or like the unordered set. It is maximum or not, we are checking over all its cases. Else if it is not maximum, what we'll do, we will iterate over all the possible lengths. Okay, so what we are actually doing here is we can take a substring of length 1, substring of length 2, substring of length 3, 4, 5, whatever you want, and then for like if you take a substring of length 2, then again do a recursive call for the substring of this over this substring, and that's what you are doing. Iterate over all the possible lengths, take out this substring and check that okay whether this substring is present in the set. If it is not present in the set, insert it in the set, and then again call this GFS function with pos plus I. What this means, position is the current position, and because you have taken a length of I, we have taken the particular substring, then we will again recursively call from the pos plus I position, because now the substring will start at pos plus I and we have to take out some length from pos plus I, taking some lengths, and then after recursively calling this function, we will just like iterate out or pop out the latest added temp value, and then we will just find out the maximum of all the possible cases. Good. Then the third question is like pretty much not that much hard to understand, but the implementation is a little bit heavy. So the question statement states that you are given some grid which have like positive or negative numbers, and in one step you can move from like down or right, whatever you want, and then what you have to find out the path with the maximum non-negative product. So you have pretty much seen a question in which you have to find out the maximum sum path from the top left to the bottom right, like I think so that's a standard DP problem. But now in this question they are asking out to find out the maximum non-negative product starting from the top left to the bottom right, and then like you have to visit all the cells sum path from the top left to bottom right, and then return out the not negative maximum product you can get modulus 10 to the power 9 plus 7. If the maximum product is negative, you have to return out -1, and that's the thing. So as you can see in this, it is not possible to find out a way, so answer is -1. In this the answer is 8. As you can see, this is the path. So in this question actually what you have to do here is you have to do this in the same manner, how to find out the maximum sum over the path from the top left to the bottom right. But now because you are doing product, you have two cases. Like for the ith state, at the ith state in the summation one, the summation problem in which you have to find out the maximum sum, what you'll do, if you are at this state, you find out the maximum value for this, like if you have some grid value, like it has 5 as its grid value, then you will find out if I reach this point from the top or from the left, what is the maximum way. Like if I come from the left to this point or from the top from this point, which path is giving me the maximum value, and that will define this particular state. Okay, and then we'll do the same for every state. We will check it from the top value and from the left value, from whichever path I came to this state, whichever path is giving me the maximum value, I'll take that value in that state. Okay, but now because it is product, the product can be, till this point the product can be negative or positive. What does this mean? Like let's assume this value is -5, this value is -5, this value is 5. So the product of these two numbers is 25 and these two number is -25. if this number is again 5, what you want? You want that this number should come from above, because the top number is positive and the right number is negative. If you take out the negative number and multiply with this, then the total number position at this is negative. And if you take the positive above number, it will be positive. So you have to store out both of these values. Okay, so for every state you have to store out two values. The maximum possible product I can get at this point and the minimum possible product I can get at this point. Why? Because if let's assume the current value at this grid is negative, then I will check that what is the most negative value I can get from both the left and the top, and I will multiply this because my current value is negative. So I will tell that, okay, what is the most negative or the smallest value I can get from the left and from the top, I will multiply with this. And for the positive, if this is the positive value, then I will find out the most positive value or the most largest value from the top and from the right or from the left, sorry, and multiply with this point. Because if I take only those values, then it will help me to construct the next value. I hope you understand. So that's the whole logic for this question. I am not drawing it out because it will make the video very long, but I will tell you with the code itself. It's pretty much heavy oriented, but what we are actually doing here is first take the input of the grid dimensions, then make a dp vector in which it's a vector of 2D vector which has two value long a pair. Okay, so it means that every grid value has two values. Now first I can fill out all these positions, and all for the first row and the first column I can always fill it out, because if I have a path from this till this, I have just a straight row, I do not have any choice but to move from left to right. I cannot do some path, because as you can see, if I have only one row and I have to reach from first to the last, I have to hop over to every grid cell, I have to multiply all the things and I have to reach the end. So I do not have any path, different paths on which I can travel. So there is only one path, so I can easily find out the value. So for the first, if there is only one starting grid value, the starting grid value, the negative and the most negative and the most positive value is the value itself at the grid point. But the further values, if I want to find out for this, because there is only one path, the most negative and the most positive is the same. Why? Because you do not have any more paths. You cannot compare what is the most negative till now and most positive till now. There's only one path. So for the first row, I will update the dp of state for that particular cell. First value will store the most negative and the second value will store the most positive. So for the first row, the first and the second value of the dp state will be actually equal to the dp at the current point, the previous dp state multiply with the current grid value, and we'll do the same for the first column. Then we'll iterate over from I equal to 1 till I less than n, and for j equal to 1, j less than m. And then we have two states, whether the particular grid point on which we are is negative or positive. If it is negative, I have let's assume first we have positive. If we have positive, what are our conditions be? Because it is positive number, we want that our number should contains the maximum value from the previous left or the previous top value. So the maximum value is stored on the second dp of second state. So dp of second on the left and on top, I will find out the maximum among them and multiply with this particular grid value. And also I have to update the first value. And how I update the first value? Because we have to find out the minimum value of these state. I will find out the minimum among the first and because first will store the minimum value, and I will multiply this minimum value with this dp of I from the left and the top and multiply with this grid value. But now if it is negative, what will I do? I will, for this negative value, if I want to update my dp of I, this is the maximum value till now, and because grid value is negative, I will find out the smallest value from the left and the top, and the smallest value is stored in dp of I minus 1 first value. So dp of the dp state on the left and right first pair value stores the minimum value. So I will multiply the minimum value with the grid value, because this is negative and this is also some very small number, and I have to find out the minimum among them. And same I have to do the maximum among this. It's just a reciprocal of this, because now my grid point is negative. And then because at the end my dp of n minus 1 m minus 1 will store out my final value, and dp of n minus 1 m minus 1 second value, because second is the maximum value, will store out my final maximum product. And then if it is negative, if it is less than 0, I will print out -1. If it is greater than 0, then only I will do a modulus of this dp of n-1, m-1 second value with this like 10 to the power 9 plus 7, and then output this value. I hope you understand the logic as well as the code for all the 3 problems. If you still haven't watched, please mention down. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Keep coding. Bye.